Hello and welcome to the Repurpose Your Purpose podcast. My name is Aurora Menegallo, and this podcast is about doing work you love. Today, I want to talk about why what you do for work, why your career matters, and why it's not just about the money. Before we dive into the topic, though, if you like this podcast, will you like it on whatever platform you're on, or if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like it, subscribe to the podcast everywhere you're listening to this. It really helps with reach. All right, so why does it matter? I think this is so important because too often, too often, we just focus about the financial part of doing work you love. Now, let me say that's very important. So I might touch a little bit on that today, and I will definitely talk more and more about it. But it is not what makes or breaks your career except in extreme cases. Okay, and here's why. I think deep down we all have a real human need to feel we're part of something, or that we are contributing something, or that we're good at something, we're appreciated. It's a little bit different for each one of us, right? Some of us feel really good when we can complete a project. Maybe you like to work with your hands, so it feels really good when you build something. Some of us feel really good when other people tell us how great we are. We feel there's like a relational dynamic. We feel appreciated. We feel collaboration, so we really enjoy that. For some other people, there is a deep desire to feel we are contributing to bigger change. So really a sense that your work has meaning beyond you, that you're part of something bigger. For some people, and this, for some people, there might be even a spiritual side of work, that you feel like your connection with the divine or the connection with something beyond the physical senses is present. I know some of you might think, well, what if somebody just wants to, have a job, make some money? I would say, yeah, sure, there's that too. I don't want you to hear anything that I'm saying as it has to be a gigantic purpose, right? But even if you, let's say, you just want to have a simple job, you go, you get paid, you go home, your life is really mostly outside of work, you still want to have a certain feeling there. You still want to, maybe be relaxed or feel like you did something good, or people treat you in a certain way, or, if you're working from home, there are certain comforts. So what I'm pointing to is that work is so much more than the money. It's relations, it's purpose, it's day to day, what we grow into, what we use our mind for, or our body, to do. And there's something else that I think is so important, which is it gives us a sense of belonging to the community, or belonging to a certain place, or belonging to a certain movement, right? So it really makes us feel, I have a place, I'm needed, right? When I work with career changers and people who are not sure what they want to do next, there's a lot of pain that people bring to those conversations. And remember, anything I'm sharing, I felt it too, okay? I'm the first to say, if I feel like I'm not doing something I like, or I feel lost on what I want to do, I feel a lot of pain. And I think some of that pain is because, again, we don't feel we have the ground, beneath our feet. It's hard. Even the people around you very often are like, so what's the plan? So what are you going to do for money? So just get a job. Why don't you just get a job? Right? Isn't that true? It feels very destabilizing. So I think the way to deal with that moment, the moment of I don't know what I want to do next and I feel this pain, is to think about these needs, the needs that come with work, in three different ways. One way about the need of having a place, feeling you're part of something, feeling you have a place, I think it's very important to honor it, to understand that's a very human thing. It's a beautiful thing, right? And at the same time, understand that just because you don't know that place, you don't have that feeling right now, you already have a place in the community. It's just not showing up yet, right? But I really want to invite you, if you feel like that, to really remember, no, 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 no. We are always all needed, and we're always all in need of something. And sometimes we feel a little lost. We don't know, we don't have our bearings, but that's always true. So it's a momentarily we don't know, but then we'll find our way. Okay, that's a lot of what I work with people with, but really this sense of it's a human thing, it's a beautiful need to feel like we belong, to feel like what is my place in the community, and you never really lose it. It's just more of momentarily might be invisible or not quite clear. Okay, so it's really, really important. And with that, I want to add, keep that in your heart when people around you feel a little bit lost. Keep that in your heart when you feel the pain, because also when we feel lost that way, we often show up not in our best self. We feel resentful, we're upset, we're in a bad mood, all these kind of things. We might get bitter. So really remember that it's that pain, right? And it makes somebody feel so much better if you can welcome them and make them feel like everything is okay. You know they're a wonderful human being, even if they're a little bit lost, and still finding their path. The second part is what satisfies you at a very deep level. Okay, whether it's, completing something, getting really good at something, being appreciated, certain type of relational dynamics at work, collaboration, a certain ease, and maybe introspection or solo type of work, all that kind of stuff, right? I think that's a call of the soul. And I don't say your soul in any, religious way. You can take it however you want, but it's really a call from your deepest self that wants to be actualized. And we all are a little bit different in that way. But if we listen to that wisdom, and that's really being in source, being really at one, that guides you on the path. That sense of I feel good doing this, whatever that is for you, as I was saying, it can show up in different ways. That is like a little, in fairy tales, they have the little breadcrumbs that you follow. Although sometimes in fairy tales, they get you in trouble, those breadcrumbs. But these are the good kind, right? They get you to good stuff. So I think it's really important to honor that and not to fight it. So this is something, again, I see myself, I see it in people I've worked with. We tend to sort of judge that, okay? Like, in other words, if it's going well, we love it, we're all for it. But then if we cannot get it, or if, let's say we love being appreciated, and then, we get into a company where we try our best and we're really doing something that we love, and then we get attacked for it, or, we're not appreciated, or we have a bad experience, then we can really turn against ourselves. Instead of seeing okay, this is not a match. Okay, instead of taking care of our feelings and say, wow, I really need now to really take care of my feeling, on my self-care, we do this thing of at least some of us of there must be something wrong with me, so I need to change, I need to become more independent or care less about people, or we start essentially making it all about how we are wrong. Okay, now there's also the other side. Some people then always blame the others, but I find that they're usually not into going to see a coach. Okay. But if you're listening to that and you have a pattern of blaming others, come talk to me. I love actually working with people that are super talented but tend to feel very upset at everybody else. And don't assume that necessarily there's nothing for you to be upset about. You might have good reasons. Anyway, I can talk more about that in another episode. It's an invitation if you listen to this. But going back to what I was saying, a lot of us have a bad experience following, what it really calls us. And then instead of seeing it as, okay, it was a bad match, like you go on a date with somebody and it's not a good match and you're like, okay, well, that's fine. I have to try and meet somebody else. You make it about yourself. There's something wrong with me. Okay, so the people that like to collaborate think they shouldn't like to collaborate. The people that, are very enthusiastic think they shouldn't be enthusiastic. The people who have trouble finding a job that lets them build amazing things start thinking they need to, I don't know, be in front of the computer, even though, they have experienced loss of energy and terrible well-being, that kind of stuff. So my invitation is to see that you do have a way, your deepest wisdom does guide you in the direction of what works for you. And what you might want to do is honor that, be open to the fact that it might take a little bit to find it, right? And also that maybe will show up in a way you do not expect, okay? Because sometimes we have very fixed ways of thinking how we're going to get the satisfaction, how we're going to get what something we like looks like. But we might just be unaware. So it's the feeling, it's the energy that guides you. One of the examples I often share is, for example, people that like to teach, right? If you like to teach, or if you haven't experienced teaching, but then you don't like it, it doesn't mean you have to throw away all of the teaching. There's many things that come with teaching, like organizing content, really being there with others in an empathetic way, communication, learning. Teachers a lot of time have to keep learning so they can teach, being independent, being organized, being completely present, because when you're talking to somebody, when you're teaching, you can't just space out, you have to be completely present. Maybe that's something you like. The energy you get being in a group, there's or conversely, maybe you love to teach but one-on-one. You can take that apart in a million ways. And so that's again something to see. If you're looking to change careers and you feel like what you're doing you don't like, be careful not to throw away the baby with the bathwater, right? Start uncollapsing things and really understand yourself in a much deeper way, because the seed of what you want to do next might already be there, right? That wisdom might have been guiding you all along, and this is just maybe a bad match. Okay. I took some notes today. Let me see what else I want to say. Okay. I want to say something about the other part that I mentioned is finding meaning in what you're doing. Okay. And for some people, finding spiritual experience. There's something very powerful for some of you listening to this, not for everybody, but for some of you listening to this, there's something very powerful where what you're doing goes beyond yourself. So um, having a higher purpose, like a bigger purpose. I think everybody has a purpose, but it's different. It's different kinds, right? Somebody's purpose might be, I really wanna live a peaceful life, and that's great. That's absolutely fantastic. But some people might have a bigger like they really want to feel something even bigger, like I want to bring about peace, let's say, right? It's a different thing. It's very important that if you feel that deep within yourself, that you again honor that. Okay, for some of us, we need to feel that higher sense, the sense of, I'm not doing this for myself. It's not just about me, or it's not just about something that maybe to you feels small. You want to be in service of something bigger. And there too, if that's your guiding light, be open. Be open that it might show up what you do for it in a different way than maybe what hasn't worked so far. Okay. And that can be really your compass right there. But don't make it come from here too much. Every time we think about it too much, we get too intellectual about it. I think we can easily be taken out of source. Source works in a much more energetic, feeling, intuitive. This is a whole other conversation, but you will know when it's source versus you're thinking about it. Okay. Same thing with the spiritual thing. If you feel very called to something spiritual, again, it's important to honor that, whatever that looks like, and be smart about it, of course. And also realize that if what guides you is meaning, purpose, spirituality, there are certain things that it's harder to make money with, okay? And you can find a balanced life that's meaningful for you, understanding also the kind of environment you're working within, or the limitations or the resources. I am definitely not one of those coaches who's like, everything is gonna make you $1 million, or no, you should only do something that is quote unquote practical. Like everybody should get, everybody should get into AI now, now it's the thing. I don't like AI, but also I have particular dislike, and I would really say, I'm not gonna say, I'm gonna keep this very polite, this podcast, but I have a very strong dislike for this conversations about what to do that is completely, oh, this is what they're hiring for, then that everybody should get into it. That's not how human beings work. Now if what they're hiring for touches some of the things we talked about that work for you, then by any means look into it. Maybe it's a really great thing you haven't thought about, right? But if it's incompatible, if it's really not your jam, it doesn't matter how many openings they have. It will not be what satisfies you. Okay. And yes, sometimes you can learn to like something, blah, 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 but come from source, please. Okay. It's very painful to try and do something that goes against our deepest knowing. It's very painful. And even though it's scary to go against the grain or go against some conditioned patterns we grew up with, once you find your flow, the flow that is yours, but it's in tune with what's needed from you, with what you came here to give and contribute to the community, to maybe even the world, it will seem crazy to you that you were trying at some point to go so much against what you knew was right for you. Okay, let's see. I want to say something else here, because And if you go to my philosophy page, please go to my philosophy page or my website, explore it. You'll see that I mentioned this there as well. I really think there are three dimensions of change or of doing what you love. One is, of course, self-awareness. That's huge. Okay, because if we're not aware of ourselves, it's very difficult to grow and to move forward and to change. But the other two dimensions are relational dynamics, understanding how what's healthy for us, what we enjoy, what to look for and what to avoid, but also understanding how to be in a relational dynamic that is healthy, how we show up and can be in that, right? The third dimension is what I call the environment. So it's sort of like beyond the dynamics. It's, you can think a little bit more about the system, let's say. And I really do want to acknowledge that we do really still not a great job of creating opportunities for different people who love different things and who really come to the world with different gifts. We really still live, and this will depend a lot, you know, where you live, your country, the region, the city, you know. So I'm generalizing here. You have to hear this and think about, you know, how it shows up in your environment. But we really do a poor job of acknowledging that everybody is bringing something that we love. The biggest the two biggest things that come to mind, you know, is how in some environments, like for, you know, we discount artists, creatives, and yet all of us, when we feel down, when we relax, when we want to experience pleasure, what do? We immerse ourselves in things that are made by creatives and artists, right? And we want that. And some of the people that struggle the most are the people who are creative and artistic. So really think about that. What are we creating? What environments, what systems are we creating that values things like, let's say, you know, trading stocks on Wall Street or whatever, you know, things like that. And then caregiving for the elders, or taking care of children, or the arts, or, you know, you pick. There's so many examples are devalued. I think it's really important to acknowledge this, because our job doesn't operate in a vacuum. And sometimes we really need to not just think about what we can do for ourselves, but think about how can we help, you know, our field, our profession, or even like future generations. How can we really start holding a bigger space for this conversation, where it's not just the individual, and the opposite, where it's not just, again, the community needs this, therefore you have to fit yourself in this little box. When things are in harmony, when things come from source, I really do believe that there's a certain balance, that people that have certain gifts will be acknowledged and welcomed, and really there'll be space for them and they'll be appreciated. People who have different gifts will be appreciated for that, right? And wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be wonderful? So I'm gonna leave it, I think I'm gonna leave it at this. We'll talk about money in one of the, you know, future episodes, but I really want you to set aside the money conversation for a little bit, even for a week, you know, just do it as a mental exercise, and just really start becoming aware of all the other things that are really important to you about your work, your career, relational dynamics, purpose, meaning, learning, satisfaction in being good at something or completing something. What kind of feeling, sense of ease, a sense of excitement, you know, and the place that you get to occupy in the community. Always remembering that if you're not sure what you want to do next, it's temporary. It's temporary. Okay? There is a path for you, and as you let your wisdom guide you, you will find it step by step. All right, if you want to know more about what I do, head over to repurposeyourpurpose.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. Please do if you haven't done that yet. You can find how to work with me and get in touch if you want to explore one-on-one coaching on how to change careers if you're not sure what you want to do next. Until the next episode.